start my speech that was what happened in Fukushima 2011, like you can see on the picture. After an earthquake, 9.0 struck off the coast of Japan on 11th of March 2011, a tsunami swept the country's eastern coast, destroying communities and taking the lives of tens of thousands of people. The event led to the biggest nuclear disaster since Chernobyl in 1986. It also exposed serious failures in the Japanese system for ensuring the safety of nuclear reactors. The nuclear disaster was rated level 7, which is, by the way, the highest possible rating on the International Nuclear Event Scale. Japan's Nuclear and Industrial Safety Agency estimated that the amount of radioactive cesium sent into the atmosphere by the explosion was equivalent to 168 Hiroshima bombs. More than 150,000 people fled the containment area up to 50 km around the Fukushima plant. The 20-kilometer evacuation zone is still off limits. Experts expect it will be uninhabitable for decades. Most of those who evacuated from other areas have thus far chosen not to return, due to concern about radiation, unemployment, and fears of living in a ghost town. Radioactive plutonium has been released into the Pacific Ocean. If it enters the food chain, radioactive plutonium accumulates in bones and can cause leukemia and bone cancer. So what was the reaction of Fukushima 2011? Who reacted to the world of this disaster? Following the Fukushima nuclear disaster of March 2011, Germany has permanently shut down 8 of its reactors and pledged to close the rest by 2022. The Italians have voted overwhelmingly to keep their country non-nuclear. Switzerland and Spain have banned the construction of new reactors. Japanese Prime Minister has called for a dramatic reduction in Japan's nuclear power. Taiwan's president did the same. Mexico has sidelined the construction of 10 reactors, and Belgium is considering phasing out perhaps as early as 2015. But what is America doing? What is America's reaction of this nuclear disaster in 2011? What are they doing? The United States are still the world's largest producer as in 2009, but still in 2012. They have about 104 nuclear power stations and produce more than 30% of worldwide nuclear energy. On the next map you can see where the nuclear power plants are in the United States, and luckily there's no in Portland, but you can also find them in seismic hazard areas that are red marked. So there's also it's really dangerous, like in Fukushima, and an earthquake or a tsunami could lead to a nuclear disaster comparable to Fukushima, and therefore it does not only matter how safe our nuclear power stations are, because Japanese as a well-developed country used to natural causes has nuclear power station, which might be even more secure than in the US. But Hanford, the closest one in eastern Washington, is also in a really risky area. And on the next map you will see why we should care here as well. The Hanford nuclear station, which you can see here, is on the Columbia River, which flows through Portland. And everyone in this class answered he would care if a nuclear power station would be in his neighborhood. The nuclear power station in Hanford is close enough to have an impact on our lives here in Portland. In case there is a nuclear disaster, imagine the radioactive substance that would flow into the river. Consequently, it would as well reach the water we drink and the water which fish we eat. And also a lot of nuclear waste tanks are in the Hanford area, and on the next map you can see why this matters. Because a lot of the nuclear tanks, nuclear waste go into the groundwater and flew into the Columbia River. has a potential for us here in Portland. Next, I want to come to the advantages and disadvantages of nuclear power generation. The advantages are that nuclear power emit relatively low amounts of carbon dioxide. The emissions of greenhouse gases and the contribution of nuclear power plants to global warming is relatively low. And this mentioned everybody in the questionnaire. And also that the technology is now arrival, does not have to develop first, and it's possible to generate a high amount of electrical energy in one single plant. And therefore, it's really cheap because you can produce a lot of energy in one plant. Then I want to come to the disadvantages of nuclear power. Nuclear power plants as well as nuclear waste could be preferred targets for terrorists and nuclear weapons, as we all know. Such an attack will have a catastrophic effect on the whole world. The energy source for nuclear energy is uranium. Uranium is a scarce resource. It's aptly estimated to last only for the next 30 or 60 years, depending on the actual demand. The problem of radioactive waste is still an unsolved one, as you also all mentioned in the questionnaire. The waste from nuclear energy is extremely dangerous and has to be carefully looked over for several thousands of years. The half-life of plutonium is 24,000 years. So we are producing more and more waste, and we do not know where to save it for such a long time. And we have to think of the next generation as well. We are responsible for them. And also the main point, as you all mentioned in the questionnaire, is the high risk. Despite a general high security standard, accidents can still happen. It is technically impossible to ban a plant with 100% security. And no one of you believes that nuclear power is really safe. A small probability of failure will always last, and the consequences of an accident would be absolutely devastating for both the human being, the nature, like you can see on Fukushima or Chernobyl. I will come to a quick conclusion after this. So, from the mentioned pros and cons of nuclear power plants, and especially at high risks, it should be evident that nuclear power stations are no solution for the future energy supply. And even worse, it is the source of further more problems. But there is still an alternative to nuclear power stations. It is called renewable energy. It does not cause air pollution and will never run out. Solar, photovoltaic and wind supply do vary with how much sun and wind are available. But once a network of wind turbines and solar farms become wide enough, sufficient energy supplies can be guaranteed, as there will always be wind and sun somewhere. Additionally, there are also unvarying renewables supplies like bio, hydro, or geothermal energy. Modern renewable systems also have the way of banking energy. And this isn't still theory, it's happening. For example, we should take a look at Spain. Today, 35% of the energy supply is coming from renewables, and therefore 13% from Spain's energy from wind energy. And in Portugal, shifted its electrical grid from 15% to 45% of renewables in just 5 years. And Germany installed solar capacity is greater than all of the 6 Fukushima reactors together. So now I will come to my conclusion. So nuclear power isn't necessary to solve the climate crisis. We are no longer forced to ride the awful consequences of climate change against the awful consequences of Chernobyl and Fukushima. In fact, we are paying an exorbitant human, environmental and financial price, and we take even bigger risks for zero benefit against the climate change. It is time to change course. We can stop build new nuclear power plants and focus on renewable energies. We can phase out existing nuclear power plants. We can make the energy revolution happen. Thank you very much.